You're tuning in to Barrelhouse Legends with Robert Nelson. We are here at the National Blues Museum from downtown St. Louis with the lovely Carolyn Mason. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let's jump into it. I hear that you're a Mississippi girl.
Yes, born and raised.
Tell me about that.
I come from Greenville, Mississippi.
That's the Delta. I mean, this is where the
Heart of
action.
the Delta.
Yeah.
He used to perform on the Delta Blues Festival every year,
Wow.
which is the oldest Black Heritage Festival in the United States.
What's that like? What was that like for you?
I was growing up around it all the time, so it was just something that, we did, and our band was like probably one of the major big bands in that area. So, they always had the back, like on the back porch, little hut house. So they had a second stage, which we would run, as well as we would be on the main stage early with all the stars. It was fun getting to go behind stage, and you're meeting different people like Isaac Hayes, and we did so much stuff with Bobby Bland, and
oh my
a lot
God. I
of
love
great artists.
Bobby Bland. So you met these legends.
Yeah, I've
and you
been
performed
around
on the
all
same
my
stage
life.
that they have.
Because my dad, he grew up playing, they was musicians on their side. So they played with B.B. King and
Your
Lil
dad?
Milton.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So
They
you
grew up with these guys.
And so you grew up in this. You just grew up around music.
And then my mom's side, they all gospel singers. So
Wow.
I grew up like maybe 5, 6 years old, singing every morning on the radio, belling it out. Little Mahalia Jackson, they'll call me.
You know what? Interesting. I did the same thing right here in St. Louis. It was in 70, probably 4. And I was this little kid singing on the radio, and
Yep.
I'm not even sure if I wanted to. But so
Exactly.
you've got gospel music on mom's side, and then you've got blues music
dad's
on
side.
dad's side.
And then through school, you got classical music. So we've done it all.
Classical music, blues music, gospel music. Wow.
Yeah, but I'm more of a soul singer.
You consider yourself a soul singer?
Yes, I love.
What does that mean to you?
I love music that tells story. I love telling stories too, as well in my show. I try to incorporate, something that I believe this type of music people can relate to more, and it could be somebody out there dealing with something at a particular time, and you would sing this particular song, and it touches them so much, till they can't help but react to it. So I don't like just singing just to be singing. I like to create deliver messages, and when I leave here, know that I fulfilled my audience, expectations, and lift their spirits and everything.
Wow.
So that's what soul music to me does, which is, to me, a derivative from the blues, because the blues tell story.
Okay.
And it all began with the blues and old spirituals, and it just migrated and
So
progressed.
blues is the roots. Blues and,
I
and
feel
gospel,
it
you
is.
feel like that's the root. And then you think out of that comes the soul music.
Yes.
So how different, and I think I asked, we had another guest here a while ago, and I think he said something very similar. His name is Gene Jackson. You know the legendary Gene Jackson. And he said, he talked about soul music, he talked about blues music. So, and I'm going to ask you pretty much the same question because I'm learning from you guys. What is the difference between soul music and blues music?
Blues is more simplicity, that I would say. Soulful music like ballads and stuff, more intricate, more difficult pieces. It's more dramatic. And through all the dramatic things and the instruments and everything that goes on, and you're telling this story, you can touch a person a little bit harder, It can be more meaningful to a person with the blues, they'll listen to it and be like, oh yeah, that's a good one. But, there's no feeling to a lot of it.
Wow. What? I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I got to put you on the spot. When you talk about choosing music that connects with an audience where you can connect with them and it has this message, it tells this story, they can walk away with something, you feel like you've done your part. What are at least one, if not two, what's one of those songs that comes to your mind when you go like, I'm going to deliver this, I'm a soul singer, this song will tell the story, It's going to connect with this audience. And I know when I finish singing this song, I'm walking away, having done what I came to do. Can you kind of guide
Well,
us?
I have a couple ballads that I do. One is I love Phyllis Hyman.
Oh,
That's my girl.
God, I didn't know that you were a Phyllis Hyman fan.
Yes,
I'm a
I do.
huge-
I'm starting to incorporate a lot more of her stuff into
I'm
my
a huge
music.
Phyllis Hyman fan.
Yes, and I do like Living All Alone. Everybody that knows
my
Phyllis Hyman knew that she was such a depressed case, but she created so
Yes.
emotional love songs.
I was thinking about her last night, and I was singing a song, and I thought, I'm performing tonight, and I thought, dude, you've got to get into that. I'm like, how would Phyllis Hyman? How would she attack that first line?
Oh,
You know,
she was so awesome till, she was more of a jazz singer.
Absolutely.
She could imitate any instrument or she was just awesome. She had no boundaries to her skills or anything she did.
I've seen her twice live. Believe it or not,
never got a chance
I
to,
saw
I
her
wish.
at the downtown St. Louis, the Fox Theater, when Sophisticated Ladies was on tour. And I got a chance to see Phyllis Hyman come down those steps with that big fur coat.
Yes.
Oh, man, singing Ellington like she was born to do it.
Absolutely.
Right. So you do Living All... Oh, and I also saw her on the Living All Alone tour. You mentioned Living All Alone. I was probably a teenager, and I was working at a record store, and I was like, you've got to hear this album. You've got to hear this album. And when she toured with Gene Carn opened for her. They were at the Fox Theater, and I think I was on maybe the 4th seat. And she performed I Don't Want to Lose You.
Yes.
Right? And you talking about somebody who was, I think my mouth was just open. And
She
I
did
think
that to you.
every time she finished a verse and go into the chorus, I think I wanted to clap. I'm looking around like, we're gonna clap, right? We can clap. Because that was all, I couldn't wait until the song was over to clap. Yeah, so Phyllis Hyman, so Living All Alone is the one that you feel like you connect with your audience? It's one of those tunes?
I think that's one of my favorite ones that she do, yes. But, because you have a lot of people that's going through a lot of breakups and things going on. You hear something like that, and it, you can see the tears in the in the audience eyes or whatever, because they're like, oh my God, where did you get that from? I love it when you sing this song, as well as Gladys Knight. Gladys Knight has a big effect on St. Louis music.
Oh,
I
tell me
think
about
just
that.
about every female artist here in St. Louis does some sort of Gladys Knight.
What's your favorite?
Neither one of us is my favorite. I do that a lot, and
It's my favorite,
I do
too.
it so much till when other artists do it, people look at me. Well, so and so was singing your song. I'm like, but that's not my song. First of all, it's Gladys Knight. I'm singing someone else's song.
My brother was a huge Gladys Knight fan.
Yes.
And when he
That's
passed
my
away
favorite.
a few years ago, BET honored her, and
Yes.
she sang Neither One of Us. And it moved me in a way that, I can't even describe.
Yes, I just took her. She was here in Patti LaBelle,
Yeah.
Stephanie Mills.
Yeah.
I took my mother there for her birthday this year, and it was I've never been starstruck, but that was a starstruck event. I mean, oh my God, just to see her live in person, and see just how tiny she's gotten and everything and stuff. I'm glad that I got to see her again. In her later years, not just her earlier years, and. The sisters still can go. All of them can. They are wonderful.
Are those the women that kind of inspired you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because when they sung a song, they meant it.
So that was Gladys inspired you.
Gladys, you got
Pat.
even Tina Turner, Aretha Franklin, Patti LaBelle, all those old singers. I love their music.
Did your mother enjoy the show?
Oh, she was so happy.
Does mom still sing?
Mom never was a singer, actually. All of her sisters and brothers can sing, but she can't hit a lick.
Okay. I thought the gospel, it was just her family that was sing.
Most of her brothers mostly sang in the gospel, and her father sang. My grandfather, he sang.
Did he inspire you? Your grandfather, did he inspire you?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Because I used to love to, he'll sit around and whittle with his little knife and piece of wood, and be singing different little old spirituals or gospel songs, and Never went to church, but
Down in the Delta, your grandfather is whittling some wood with his knife, and he's singing.
singing his songs.
And
or
you're getting this directly to your soul.
Mm-hmm.
And so you bring that to St. Louis. How did you get to St. Louis? And let me thank you for bringing some of that spirit of the Delta to St. Louis and to the National Blues Museum. We appreciate that.
So I thank you guys. I thank you all for all your support. Well, actually, I came here in 2004. My fiance at the time was a fireman here.
Okay.
Carolyn Mason, and his grandparents lived in the outskirts of Greenville, and that's where his parents and mother parents and his father parents, all of them are from Greenville, and they would take him back every year to go down and visit, and he'll spend the summer down and all. And I met him about 5 years prior to coming here, and we just clicked. He's my best friend, and I'm like, you know what? It's time for me to make a move, do something else, So I came here probably about 34 or so when I got here. And actually, I wasn't even thinking about doing music when I first came to St. Louis.
But you were performing in Mississippi, though.
I left the music and everything, and I'm like, I'm gonna try out being a housewife for a change. I'm gonna give it all up, and I knew nothing about being a housewife.
All right. So you're gonna give up the Delta blues to make food in the kitchen for the firemen.
I can cook now, but it didn't turn out quite right. As well as the relationship at that time. So, but they left me here in St. Louis with no family or anything, but my job. So through the job, I grew up and I met people here, and then I met this guy named Mike Green, keyboard player on the East Side. He was the one that brought me back into music again here, because he heard me singing one day in the grocery store. I'm just going down the aisle.
You're in the grocery
store. Going down the aisle shopping and just humming,
And a man hears you.
Yes, and he was like, you know what? You really need to do something with that voice. I'm saying to myself, but at this point now, this is later on in the game, I'd already we was booked through this booking agency out of California, so we traveled all over the United States.
That's when you were in Mississippi.
In Mississippi.
Okay.
So we had been performing at military bases, even in prison camps and stuff, and opening up for all types of artists and stars all over the United States. And so, then I got pregnant with my last daughter, Nanny. And so I toured clean up until 9 months. And I came home, and then after I had her, I decided I didn't want to be one of those artists that the parents raised the children. So I decided to give it up for a while and try to, raise the kids, me being the oldest in my family. So I took on a responsibility like that for everybody, not only for my kids, but for the whole family.
So you made the sacrifice.
Yeah.
Okay. And how long did that sacrifice last?
It lasted for a long time. It lasted, I would say, until about 2012.
And how old was she then?
So they were out of school.
So you waited till the same thing here.
Yeah, she was in college when I started back to singing.
Yeah. I took some time off too to kind of let the kid raise the kids some, and then once they got in high school,
absolutely,
I thought
it's time for mom to do what she do.
Yeah, right. And you've been doing it. I mean, like you're performing. I mean, I think the last time that I saw you perform, correct me if I'm wrong, I think we had a block party.
Yeah.
It was Blues on the Block, National Blues Museum. We blocked off the streets. We had the stage. We had the audience. I think we went on right before you guys did.
Yeah, we did.
What was that like for you?
Oh, it's wonderful. I love doing stuff here for Blues Museum and Aaron, and they all, they really supported me. Like I say, after I did the first gig over at the Red Door, which was my first solo, starting on getting on my own, and because every time I would play, a musician or one of the musicians, the guys around here, and they like, girl, you can really sing. If you ever need me for something, just call me and I'll be there. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna call these people up on their bluffs, and then I called Richard Holton and Dexter Hardy was a couple of bass guys that played with me. Henry Taylor would play lead for me. Back then, I had Mike Green when he was living and everything, and it's just a number of players.
So what was that like? Your first show after coming from the Mississippi Delta, meeting a man in the grocery store, now you're performing in East St. Louis at the Red Door
every Saturday.
So what was that like when that first? Were you scared to get back out there after raising the child, having the marriage, making all the sacrifices, and now getting back on the stage? What was that like?
It was at first, but when you're dealing with other people in their bands and there's so many restrictions on you, you decide, I might as well take a chance on myself.
Okay.
And once I did, I always kept a packed house. I never had any problems until, a certain club owners sometimes, they want to take advantage of the musicians and the artists. So then I take the high road. So I just say, you know what, you be blessed and I'm going to move on. But after I turned my back on that, the National Blues Museum called me.
Wow.
And from that point, I've never looked back. And I've been going forward ever since.
I'm glad to hear you say the National Blues Museum really opened the door and for you and create an opportunity. I talked to a few women that are in our community, and whenever we're just having lunch or talking, just chilling or whatever, just being friends and just talking about music, a lot of the women say, Robert, it's hard for the women. It's hard for the women. Do you find that? And you talked about someone trying to take advantage of the artist. Do you think that it's difficult for women?
Not necessarily, only if you don't apply yourself.
Okay.
If you apply yourself and you step out of your comfort zone, then you'll see doors will start to open, Like I would have never thought I'd be up here at the National Blues Museum playing, but when I came, they had just opened their doors, and for the first week or so, I was the only female artist here, and they did a tribute Women's Month, I think it was March. Every Sunday I did a different artist, a tribute every Sunday.
How were you able to do that?
I don't even know. It must have been a drilling brush or something, But back then, this was a new business getting started too, and we would go up and down, make out flyers and stuff, and go up and down the road, the strip here, go to the hotels and to the concierge, give out because we knew it was a tourism spot.
Right.
So we'd give out the flyers and let everybody know, hey, this place is open and this is where you need to be.
Wow.
And
so you helped to put National Blues Museum on the map.
Yeah, did my part.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Through the sweat and efforts, we got the people in here, and more and more artists start coming, and
I remember the first time I got an opportunity to play here. The only thing I could think was that I kept thinking, I wish my mother and father were alive. I'm from St. Louis. You're from Mississippi, but I'm from St. Louis. And for me to play the National Blues Museum, I thought, I want my mother and my father here because I felt this was a really huge, accomplishment. And it's one of my favorite rooms to play.
Absolutely.
I love it. Yeah. So what is the museum? What is this establishment? What is it? What do you think it means for the community?
I think it's a safe place to come. It's a very pleasant environment when you get here.
Yes.
Like me, I have a lot of older crowd because I do a lot of the jazz, the blues, the Motown.
Yeah.
And so it's a lot of church people. They want to hear the music, but they're afraid to go to clubs.
Yeah.
Here you're not at a club. So you're in that open event where they can come in, the preachers and all. You would be surprised how many preachers and things are out in the audience, because they can come and enjoy good music, and you're not in that type of environment where they're preaching every Sunday about not going.
Exactly.
And let their hair down. And then I also, here I can interact with my crowd. Between stage shows and stuff, I go down and I talk to my people, make sure they're all right, make them feel at home. So that's another thing I do probably that's different from a lot of other audiences, I believe in interacting with my audience. A lot of other artists, some of them, they do their show and then they go backstage and sit down and that's it, I think the people aren't just paying for just the music, they're paying for an experience.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you're delivering that experience, I appreciate you talking about the room and the preachers and the folks, who are like my age and who are more mature, just the more mature audience.
Very
the last
mature.
time I performed here, we brought our Late Night Groove show here. We launched it, we debuted it here at the National Blues Museum, and I had a lady. And, after the show, people are coming, they're shaking your hand and they're telling you that they had a great time. And she said, Robert, I really enjoyed the show. She says, I'm a preacher as a woman. She says, I'm a preacher. She says, we want to come out and we want to hear some good music. We want it clean.
Absolutely.
No vulgarity.
Absolutely.
And it's just good old fashioned music with the roots of blues, with jazz and R&B and pop music kind of blended into that.
Absolutely.
So I'm hearing that you will be performing at the National Blues Museum during the tribute series. Tell me about that.
I'm gonna do Jill Scott this year.
Really?
Yes.
Why Jill Scott? Why Jill Scott?
Because Jill Scott is another storyteller. She
yeah.
delivers positive messages in her shows as well as in her music, and she try to teach all women how to be strong, positive women to move forward with your life, not depend on someone else, but make your choices stand, to put your good foot forward, and God gonna be with you, and you can open up any doors. And she preached that a lot, and I like that about it, about her music. And that's me, and that's the story I always tell people, don't let the bad parts get you down. Take that and learn from it. Don't let it be a stopping point.
You talk about having music that connects with an audience. You talk about music that has storytelling. You say that Jill Scott does that. So this is probably like the right artist for you to pay homage to here at National Blues Museum. What are some of your favorite songs? And are there any tunes that, that haven't been played on the radio as much that really resonate with you, that those fans that really like that music that you might be performing? So what are a couple of ones that we all know and love, and what are a couple of the ones that we call kind of album cuts that are compositions that really resonate with you that you might be performing?
Well, I think all of us here do Is It the Way?
Is It the Way?
We do Golden. I love the tune Hate on Me, Haters. Yes.
Like that,
and it's like you can hate on me all you want to, but I'm gonna be me.
Living My Life Like It's Golden has become a women's anthem.
Absolutely. And then I like the song It's Love.
I know
the music, and another reason why I love it is the band. Oh my God.
Yeah.
The horn section, the bass, everything. It's so dynamic. Her music is. I love pieces that. Her music really isn't simple music. You have to be really coordinated in what you do and how you come in, because she's a brilliant artist. I have to give her props.
And so are you. You're a brilliant artist. So when you choose music of Jill Scott and you're going to tribute, how will you show up in that music? Like, what do you bring that's aside from what we expect from her? Because we're going to see you paying homage to her. So what's going to come through from you through her music, you think?
Well, I think in all the music that I do, I take on the persona of the artist, and I try to do it the way I think that artist would want it to be done. So that's what I mean about if I can't feel it, then you can't feel it. So by me taking on her persona, and I get into my Jill Scottness, and I'm gonna come to you just like she would bring it to you. And when you leave here, you're gonna know you've been to a Jill Scott concert.
But we'll have Carolyn Mason. We'll have Carolyn Mason. We'll have Carolyn Mason on our hearts and in our minds.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yes.
Right. Okay. Cool. Who you have with you for that show?
Well, I have another female artist that sings me quite a bit. Her name is Janina Martin.
Will she be supporting you vocally?
Absolutely, yes. Okay. And she does a couple of Jill herself, so we can tag team.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wow. Okay.
So we can show you different forms of Jill.
I'm so glad that you said that, because when you were talking, I didn't want to say this, but I've seen Jill a few times, maybe, and for me, there are two Jill Scotts.
Absolutely.
There's one that's He Loves Me girl, and all of the sweet around the Philly girl. And then there's another woman who's kind of like this big voice lion. You know what I'm talking about. You hear that, right?
Yes.
Right. Is there any part of you that's like that? That's softer, sweet, around the way
I'm
Mississippi
both of
girl,
her.
and the lion. You're the lion
I'm
as well.
both of her. Yeah, I can see both sides of it being me. Because my everyday persona is I'm very sweet and I'm pleasant to be around. But
when are you the lion?
I think when I'm doing my music.
Okay.
Because I'm the take charge then, you know.
Okay.
I'm like, okay, this is what we're going to do and let's execute it, you know. And then I become this perfectionist comes out then, you know. So this is going to be this way and this, but I'm always there too. The general part comes back to where one of the guys said earlier, if there's a mistake to be made, I can come around and cover it for the band or vice versa. That's when you have a band that knows each other.
Have you always been like that? Have you always been the take charge and the perfection? Have you been like that, or did you grow into that?
Pretty much all my life being the eldest in my family, for us, the siblings and everything else. I've always, not just wanting to, just always been dumped in my lap like that. So.
And you're doing that in music, so you're doing that with the band. And most of these musicians are men. Is that, do men get intimidated by a woman who comes in like a lion and says, this is the way we're going to do it, and I'm the band leader?
No, see, but I'm not that
glad to
tough.
hear
I
that.
do it in a gentle manner.
Okay.
I've learned a long time ago, you can say what need to be said without being overbearing. So if you deliver it in a gentle tone, a person will accept what you want a lot softer than just slapping them upside the head and say, this is what I want, or get out. You know, I'm not that person.
But
So-
you will let people know this is how the music should be.
Yes.
It's not there. We've got.
I let them do their things and make their mistakes, and then we'll go back and we'll talk about it and correct it in sense, you know, in that tone. And therefore, and then otherwise, they also know that they can depend on me. I'm not one of those type of people, even though I run my own band, that I'm sorry I can't pay you today because this happened or whatever. That's not me. I'll pay my band members before I get paid, you know, because I believe in the people that believe in me. If you're going to be here with me, you're going to have me. All the respect and everything that I get, I feel that this is us. I can't do this without them. You know, so.
Well, we're going to get a chance to see you do it with them and bring it. I know y'all going to bring the house down. I plan on being in the house. I'm going to be a part of that series.
All right.
I will be bringing the music of Lionel Richie and the Commodores
Oh,
in that
I can't
series. So
wait to
National
hear
Blues
it.
Museum, they've really got the right idea. Let everybody know how they can follow you and how they can kind of check you out and see where you're playing too around town and abroad.
Okay. Well, you can always go on YouTube, look under Carolyn Mason. Most of it will be stuff from the National Blues Museum. And I have an EPK package that you can get, or you can go on my Facebook page under Carolyn Mason, and I advertise my shows and everywhere we're going to be. We will be at the Queen for New Year's Eve. Our band will be doing a New Year's Eve party there from 9 to 12. And I look forward to seeing everybody next time.
Carolyn, you are lovely. Thank you for being here. Cannot wait to catch you on stage at National Blues Museum for the tribute series with the music of Jill Scott. You are, you know, and the audience might need to know this too, that Jill Scott is celebrating, is it 25?
Yeah.
25 years for the album Who is Jill Scott?
Oh, see, you
Yeah.
letting me know.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's 25, but I know this is an anniversary year for that
okay.
album. So this is going to be huge.
Yes.
And we are really excited about it. I'm sure that people are excited about hearing you and hearing the band bring this music to National Blues Museum stage. All right?
Absolutely.
Thank you for being here.
All right. Thank you, guys.